episode of Just with Dara. This is Dara Simi, your host, speaking, and today's episode is about how diversity is not just one singular minority. So, I'm pretty excited for this episode. For this episode, I decided to have a poll on Instagram and let viewers decide what today's episode would be between this topic and educated does not equal white, which I'll do next week since that didn't have as many votes as this one. So this is the one that won, so that's why I'm doing this episode. And basically, I got the episode idea from when I started seeing different programs that would have diversity in the title of the program, or have diversity in the description of whatever program it was. But then I would go and look at pictures and stuff for the program to know more about it, and it's just one set group of people, whether it's just black people or whatever minority race it is, or anything like that, or any minority group in general, not just when it comes to race, but diversity is not just when it comes to race. I just started I started thinking about it, and I was like, how is this diversity? You're not representing different cultures or different backgrounds, you're just representing one background and one culture, so that's not diversity in any sense at all. And so the definition from Oxford Languages of diversity is the practice or quality of including or involving people from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds or different genders, etc. And to add on to that, many other groups of people that may lack representation in the media are also people that are deserving of that, are deserving to have a place or a role in whatever group is claiming diversity. So that's not to say that there shouldn't be groups or programs that cater to one set of people. That's okay if that's fine if that's the case. But in that sense, you shouldn't be claiming diversity or putting in the title of your program, blah, blah, diversity program, or putting it in the description, because it's not diversity if it's only just highlighting on one group of people. And so it's just really important to realize that when we claim that something is diverse, or when we're talking about diversity, if we're going to use that word or that term, then we need to make sure that we truly know the definition of it. And that's why I decided to read that definition, because I think that shows the importance of the fact that it's not just one group. You're supposed to be representing multiple groups, like I said earlier. And so, also with this being said, though, diversity does include white people. It includes all people. So I don't want it to seem as if, when I say this and it's a minority group, that it's just minority groups and not, white people as well. But, I think that diversity includes white people, includes Hispanic people, includes black people, includes Asian people, includes Native American people, includes indigenous people of any space or anything like that. Also, it just includes everyone, basically. And I feel like it's just, like I said, really important to realize that when we're talking about diversity, we're talking about inclusion of all people, so that they can have that representation that was lacked in the past, and that is needed now to build them up and show them hey, there are people that are like you, and you can have a space where you guys can all belong, and be able to talk to other people from who share cultures and stuff. And so I just think it's important to realize that, though. And with diversity, it's also with genders as well. So not just having the majority gender of males everywhere and seeing that, but being able to see that other people are represented as well. And then also the fact that I would say the key to it is not just having the majority race or gender, such as white people in many countries, or men in pretty much everywhere on this earth. But like I was saying before, was just that you're having people who can be accounted for, people who typically maybe didn't see themselves, if it's media or just in any group or whatever, and they didn't typically see themselves being represented there, then through this they too can be represented. And then so also with diversity, the plus side to it is that it brings new perspectives and points of view, and it puts those into play, and it opens the door for more conversation. And I think conversation is like one of the best tools of education. Huh, that was a little rhyme. Sorry. But anyways, yeah, like just having those conversations with different people who share not share, sorry, who have different backgrounds from you, and if they share similar parts of their culture or background to you as well, it, like I said, brings room for education. And okay, I feel like I keep saying like I said, but if that sounds repetitive to you, I'm sorry, just ignore it. Anyways, but yeah, so like having that as a tool of education will make people more worldly and will make people more understanding of other people's backgrounds and the places that they come from and different things like that. And it brings more chances of having people accept other people for who they are, because now they realize more about like, oh, what it is that they've gone through, and they understand their experiences more. And it also brings awareness of other backgrounds and cultures and all those things. And so I think that even though it always sounds kind of like, I don't know if interesting is the word to use, or just kind of, yeah, I guess interesting to hear when you hear like universities and colleges maybe, or not maybe, but trying to, or and different employers as well, but trying to have certain numbers of people from different groups to show that they have diversity. I think that even though it's kind of like, I guess I would say unfortunate to see that, I'm not saying this goes for all people, but how sometimes they'll hire people because of that, to have those numbers for a certain group, or they'll accept people into their schools to have those numbers for a certain group. And although that is sad to see, I think that at the same time, it kind of brings, or not kind of, but yeah, it brings more attention to the fact that there are people from other cultures and backgrounds than just the stereotypical person that we may see, and specifically speaking in America. But like, so I think that, like I said, even though it's kind of like, it sucks really to be like, oh yeah, you do have to account for the fact that sometimes they will maybe hire this person over this person to have those numbers, or to like get more funding and things like that. It, like I said before, will bring more to like, not bring more, but like it will add more to I don't know how to phrase this, I'm sorry, but it will basically, what I'm saying is that it will basically help with people being more understanding and getting that education through tools like this. And I think honestly, education comes when you don't even realize it. Like, you can be like educated about a topic or about a certain group of people and you didn't even realize it. Just like being around those people and talking to them and having different conversations with them, you'll become like, I'm sorry, I can't speak, but like, you'll realize that you're becoming more educated as like time goes on and as time progresses and things like that. So that's why I think diversity is important. It's important to realize that with diversity, although yeah, you probably can't have every single different type of person on this planet in one type of program, but it's important to try to have more than just one group of people. And yeah, so I think it just really bothered me when I saw like programs claiming diversity, but it's just one set group of people. I think, like, it's just important to realize that there are people on this planet besides just the one set people that you maybe always see. And then honestly, this, like I was saying earlier, but this episode and talking about diversity and things also ties in with representation, and how having diversity in different groups can help with the misrepresentation of a lot of different groups of people. Because a lot of times in media and in different things like that, in books and literature and television shows and just anything really, it, like, there's a lot of groups that are misrepresented and even unrepresented, and then when they are represented, they're misrepresented. So it's like there's not always like that equal and healthy balance with representation. And I think that if you have diversity to where you're including people of different backgrounds and cultures, then you will be able to further the further the education of different people. So with that representation, having good and proper representation, and not just like the stereotypical representation. Yeah, because that's an important thing to note, though, because a lot of times with representation, people will be like, okay, I'm representing these people, but it's in a stereotypical way, where it's not like, that's not how every single person from that group is. Like, you're just focusing on the stereotypes, which feeds into those stereotypes. So, like I said, with misrepresentation, that's misrepresentation in itself. An example of that is, I think I think, like, well, obviously, I'm going to think of this first because being that I am black, but I think of how a lot of times black people are portrayed in the media, and they're portrayed as, like, that stereotypical, like, quote, ghetto person, or, like a, like a thug, or things like that. And honestly, that's just, it's annoying, really, because it's, like, that's not how, like, the whole race is. That doesn't even make any sense to say, like, oh, we're having representation, but you're just, like, touching on one aspect, you know what I mean? So that's just why I'm saying that misrepresentation is honestly detrimental to our society. I'm gonna say it's detrimental to our society, and it's important to have proper representation so that younger people and younger generations can see themselves in the literature that they're reading and in the TV that they're watching or the movies that they're watching, so that they can see, like, there are people like me who I can see, and it's not just like the bad sides of their group or whatever, things like that. So, yeah, I feel like if I was to continue talking, I would honestly just be repeating myself. It was definitely a shorter episode. I didn't actually think it would be this short, if I'm being completely honest. I thought that it would probably be longer, but I mean, that's okay. I don't want to keep talking just to talk. So, but I feel like if I was to think of more things to add to it, maybe I would possibly revisit this in the future or mention it again in another episode. I'm not sure. But, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode though. And I feel like this is okay because now after you've listened to this really short episode, you can go and continue or start, if you haven't started yet, the anniversary episode, because that's really long. So this that accounts for how short this episode is, because that was an hour and 22 minutes, and I'm kind of surprised that I could be talking for, okay, I'm not really surprised I could talk for that long, but I don't know, I guess I was surprised that episode was that long, and I'm also surprised that this episode is this short, but I think they even themselves out more than I can say I thought it would. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this episode though. Like I said, if I think of more things, I will definitely revisit it in the future. Thank you so much for listening, and next week's episode, remember, will be about about how being educated does not solely equal being white or acting white or sounding white or anything like that. And then the week after that, hopefully, I think I should be having a guest on that episode, which I will release what that episode will be about later on. Thank you guys again so much for listening, and that's the gist. See you next Saturday.